Hey, hey, welcome back to the show. It's Christine Jewell. Today we're talking about one of my favorite topics, that is relationships. Specifically, I'm going to share some effective strategies for reconnecting with your spouse, your wife, your husband. And I'm going to share three specific things. I mean, I could talk about this for days and days and days. This is a topic that's really close to my heart. I know the power of having epic relationships that are unshakable, where we are on solid ground. We are pointed in the same direction. We have a shared vision. We have goals. We have dreams. But the reality is, a lot of us want that kind of relationship, but like we're not even feeling remotely connected to our spouse. Maybe you're walking on eggshells. Maybe you're going through these superficial conversations, right? Like, hey, what did you do today? What did you do? What are the kids doing? And all that you're talking about is what you're doing, what your kids are doing, who you're picking up, who you're dropping off, what bills are paid. So listen up. If you guys want more connection with your husband, with your wife, with your spouse, listen to this episode. I'm going to keep it short today. We're testing something new. I'm going to start with some shorter episodes just to get right to the point because I want to give you some digestible things that you can take action on. So maybe we'll do a couple parts on this. But again, number one, let's just jump right into it. One effective strategy for reconnecting with your spouse is curiosity. Curiosity over judgment, curiosity over criticism, curiosity over trying to analyze what are they thinking? What are they doing? Why are they doing it? Even though those are questions and it sounds like curiosity, the tone and the energy behind a lot of the things that we ask of each other are actually judgmental, if we're honest, right? We're like got people up and we're keeping score. We're judging. Did they do the right thing? Did they say the right thing? Instead of coming with a heart of true curiosity. Like, I just want to get to know you. One of the things I hear all the time is like, man, way back then, remember in the beginning, we had so many things to talk about. There was so much excitement, newness, freshness in our relationship. It was fun to go out on date nights. We always had something to talk about. Now we just talk about the same old thing. So I want to ask you this. When you go out with your partner, when you say good morning to them, when you are just driving in the car, I want to really challenge you to be curious. Pretend you're getting to know them for the first time. We want to be able to maintain an air of curiosity, of genuine, like, I want to know you. I want to know how you're doing, not just what you're doing. So, one of the power questions I have around this is so simple, but it's, hey, how are you doing today? What are you excited about? By the way, if you guys are listening to this, I have put together a little cheat sheet, a free communication guide on 5 powerful questions to ask your spouse, 5 language shifts you've got to make immediately that will change the game of communication, and 5 simple ways to really build a stronger relationship with your spouse. So if you want that cheat sheet, it's going to give you a lot more than we're talking about here today that you can look at. But curiosity, how are you doing? How are you? Not what are you doing? What did you do today? What's on your agenda? I mean, that's fine. But again, if you want a surface level relationship, that's fine. But if you want depth, if you want connection, people want to be seen for who they are, how they are. It's like, do you care about me or do you care about my performance? Am I being measured in my worth and value to you because of who I am as a person intrinsically? Or are you just measuring all of the things? And if I do enough things, then you'll love me. If I say enough of the right things, then you'll, show me affection or appreciation. So many relationships fall into this trap of being transactional, of being very performance based, where we are basically performing for each other's approval, performing for each other's affection, performing for each other's validation, or just even recognition. Like, hey, just to be seen, we have to always be proving ourselves in relationship. And nothing is more exhausting than that. So adopt a heart of curiosity. Start asking questions from a genuine desire to get to know your spouse. Because here's the reality, they are not the same person that they were when you guys got married. We know one of the things I always warn people against is don't try to go backwards, because you're not going that way. It's easy to fall into the trap of, well, wait, we used to be like this and we used to have so much fun, but you're not those people anymore. You've evolved. If you're human and you're on this planet, You've been evolving, you've been changing, you guys have gone through stuff. So chances are these events have shaped you, have shaped your beliefs, have shaped your desires, have shaped what you're excited about, have shaped what you're afraid of. So learn to ask questions. And again, I want to start with just that simple one of how are you doing today? What are you excited about? What's on your heart? And really getting to know them as a person again. So imagine that you are meeting your spouse for the first time. What questions would you want to know? Start asking your spouse those questions. Enter in with a strategic mind to be curious, not critical. Number two, this is another strategy. And again, I want to say I could go into um, more and more and more of that. But here's the thing, I'm going to back up because when we are critical, it paper cuts our relationship to death. We're automatically putting ourselves on an uneven playing field where one of us is higher than the other, and we're judging and we're criticizing and we're paper cutting the relationship to death. And it's like death by 1,000 paper cuts. So substitute curiosity for criticism. I will be recording uh, a video on the killers of relationships, the subtle killers, and criticism is one of them. Number two, the second strategy I want to talk about today for reconnecting with your spouse is be all in, be present. I mean, I talk about presence so much because so many people feel scattered. But here's the reality. Number one, presence is power. When all of you shows up, that means all of your mind, right? All of your thoughts. Like I'm here, I'm thinking about what we're thinking about. I'm thinking about what you're talking about. Like my mind is here, my heart is here. I'm not living in the past, feeling all the things you said or did in the past and how that hurt me. I'm not living in the future, feeling all the anxiety of the future, but my heart is here with you now, right? My thoughts are here, my heart is here, my physical body's actually here. I'm not like distracted on my phone and trying to read the mail and do a million other things, but physically, like I'm looking at you. My body is turned towards you, right? That's what it means to be all in. And I would add spiritually that I'm here because we are multidimensional beings. We are spirit, we are mind, right? We are emotion, and we are body. And so let me ask you, like, how you doing in this department? So many of us are like, we're all over the place. We give like 5% of us is here and 10% of us is there. And so we give scraps or just pieces of ourselves to each other instead of saying, I'm here, I'm all in. And like I said, presence is power. Presence is potent medicine, you guys. So often think about it. You might be struggling, you might be going through something. It's not so much about what somebody says or what somebody does in the moment, but it's their presence in the moment. The fact that they're physically there, the fact that they are turned towards you, that they're looking, that they're listening, that they're attentive, that they care. When we're present, we communicate to somebody that you matter to me. You're a priority to me. This moment right here, it matters. It's important. It has value, right? And I want to be here for you. And I just want to remind us today because I think we forget, especially when we are so hung up on our performance mentality that I always have to be doing something for someone in order for them to love me, them to like me, us to advance, us to go, keep growing. We forget how powerful presence is to really shift the atmosphere, to break down walls of disconnection. I mean, you walk in rooms where people are walking on eggshells, and it's like so much of that is because we're living in the past. We're terrified. Instead of saying, you know what, I'm going to be fully leaning in to this moment, even though it's uncomfortable. I'm not going to try to, I'm going to separate myself from what you said last time or what happened last time. And I'm going to show up all in where my feet are planted. And I'm going to show up with a heart and an attitude and a communication of curiosity, not attacking, not criticizing, not being afraid of what might come out of your mouth or what you're going to say to judge me or what I'm going to do to disappoint you, but I'm actually going to show up. And I'm going to tell you guys, this is a game changer. This is a game changer because we think we're present, but we're sitting at the dinner table. How many of us are sitting at the dinner table? We still have phones out on date nights or at the dinner table. Maybe even your kids have phones out. We're talking to our spouse, but we're, like I said, we're opening the mail, we're checking email, we're trying to clean the house at the same time. We've been bought these lies that we need to be doing all things all the time instead of doing the one thing that really matters most at the right time. So I want to encourage you today that if you are struggling to build connection or reconnect with your spouse, I want to really challenge you to ask yourself, how much time am I really spending in the future or the past emotionally, in my thought life, energetically? Can I train myself? By the way, this is training to slow down, to be all in where my feet are planted and really be the medicine. Um, be the energy, be in that state that changes the atmosphere. You don't have to say the right thing, you don't have to do the perfect thing, just show up. And you are energy, right? I want to say this before I move to the final one, is that we are mostly energetic beings. So you may have heard this before, but like your energy speaks way louder than what comes out of your mouth. Your energy is the amount of you, the amount of your heart that you bring to something. So some of us have been really going and saying, well, I've been trying on my marriage. I've been trying, but we show up and we're like giving like 2% of ourselves and we're holding back 98%, and we're pretending and we're, kind of telling ourselves this lie that, well, no, I'm showing up for the conversation. But in reality, you're probably like, what percentage of you is actually all in to be curious, to be open, to be fully there? Okay. The third one I'm going to talk about right now, the third strategy for reconnecting with your spouse. And again, you guys, we go through seasons, right, where we feel this tight bond and maybe the intimacy super high, physical intimacy, mental intimacy, emotional intimacy. And then you'll go through seasons where there's a little bit less connection or maybe a lot less connection because life goes on. Kids put demands on us as a couple, work put demands on us as a couple, we have financial demands. Like there are things pulling on us. So I want to say, like, just because you feel the disconnection for a moment, it's not like, oh my God, something's wrong with our relationship. It's a sign, right? It's like a little sign, like when you're driving a car and it's a blinking light to go, hey, hold on a second. I need you to pay attention to this. We don't want to let disconnection go on for an extended period of time, because in the beginning it's easier to pull it back together, but as the canyon starts to get wider and deeper and the conversations become more surface level, there's more fear, there's more criticism, there starts to be more resentment. Now we start to have bigger problems, and it becomes harder and longer to reestablish connection. But these are just some things that you can do, just to start. Okay, the third thing I want to talk about today, the third strategy, number one was curiosity. Adopt curiosity over criticism. Number two was bring all of you. Presence is power. Presence is potent medicine. Choose to be a man or woman who is all in wherever you are. Uh, Energy is potent, you guys. Number three is be the one that initiates. What do I mean by this? I think so much of the time we are waiting. Something has been said, something's been done that's caused a rift between us, caused some friction. Maybe you got in an argument and like you guys are over it, but you could still feel that, that distance, that muddy energy between the two of you. And it's like, we're waiting and we're waiting and we're like, we're brushing it on the rug. We're like, I'm not going to bring it up. It's fine. We're just going to move on. But it's like, there's things said, there's things that need to be said. There's closing of the loop. Maybe it's just you're waiting for your spouse to initiate a date night, to initiate a conversation, to initiate a hug. So I want to say, be the one that leads. Leaders go first. Initiation is a strategy. I'm going to initiate something every day. Initiate physical touch, right? Non-sexual touch. But research shows us that an 8-second hug starts to release oxytocin. 20-second is like, ooh, that's prime real estate for oxytocin to start really dumping. Oxytocin is our love hormone, right? That's what we feel when we're connected to someone. There's a bonding. Imagine it's like a bonding hormone. And it actually increases oxytocin and decreases cortisol. So isn't that cool? So now we have this opportunity to build connection simply by non-sexual touch. So maybe it's putting your hand on her back or her shoulders or his back. Ladies, you can maybe like rub his hair, rub his back, but hugs are super powerful. It could be just your hand on their leg or their arm, or holding hands. Get back in the habit of touching each other, as a practice, like all day long. Initiate going on date nights or spending quality time. Do you know what your spouse's love language is? If it's quality time, like initiate 10 minutes of coffee in the morning, or a walk at the end of the day, or that date night. Be the one that goes first. Leaders go first. So whatever that is that you are waiting for your spouse to do, to say to you, to make you feel better, to make you feel more loved, to make you feel more appreciated. I want to challenge you right now. What's that one thing that you're waiting on them to do for you? I want to challenge you and invite you to lean in and be the one that initiates and goes first. So, you guys, as I'm wrapping today, those 3 strategies for reconnecting with your spouse, maybe when the connection's been broken, you guys have gone through something, or maybe it's just like, you've been going through the motions for a while. And again, there are so many, but the ones that we talked about today is number 1, be curious, not critical, right? Really ask how they're doing. Don't focus on performance. Focus on curiosity about them. Imagine that you're getting to know them for the first time. Number 2, presence. Practice the art. It is an art in the world that we live in today. It's an art to be fully present, like to really be able to shut off the noise and to like literally physically turn off the phone or whatever it is so that we can be where we're meant to be in that moment. And number 3 is initiate, initiate the things that you long for, the conversations that you guys have been maybe avoiding, right? What we avoid just gets bigger. Okay. So, again, as I wrap, I want to encourage you guys. I have put together a cheat sheet on communication, effective communication strategies that will bridge the gap with you guys, bring you closer together. If you guys want to get that, you can follow the links in the show notes. There's 5 questions to ask your spouse. There are 5 things to do more of and do less of, and some communication hacks of actual language shifts that will change the game for you guys. So, as always, I want to thank you guys for being here. If you enjoyed this conversation, I'd love to hear your comments, your reviews. Share this with somebody, and we will see you in the next episode. Bye for now.